Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
The history of the GCRN, recorded June 1st, 2018. 9 years after the network was launched by
Steve Megatron
and
TFG1 Mike.
I'm Joe Kramer, composer of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to listen to this podcast from the GeekCast Radio Network.
Tune in next week for a much better episode. For now, though, courage.
the GCRN honors Steve's website design on our new network.
I have tickets to the podcast event. Anyone wants them, message me.
I'll take them.
I said to message me, not post them in the comments. I disregard your request.
Come on, man.
No, you went rogue, and now look at us, having it out in the comments section.
Dude, you've turned into a monster.
You made me this way.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the GeekCast Radio Network. I am one of your hosts, OptimusSolo, and joining me today to talk about the history of the GeekCast Radio Network is none other than Steve Megatron Phillips. Hello.
Yo.
And TFG1 Mike. Hello.
Just a bunch of fucking repaints.
Pretty much. Same mold, different color. So what we're here today to do is something that has been in the works here for a little while. We knew we were...
You've been working on this for about 2.5, 3 years at this point.
Longer than that, I think.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, it's only natural as a history lover, someone who went to school for history, taught history, et cetera, that anything I'm involved with, I'm also interested in the history of. And hey, I mean, now that we're finally at the 9-year mark, there is some history of the GeekCast Radio Network. So I have been in the back room, locked in the broom closet, trying to compile data and go back through files and pages and everything to gather as much information as we can about the history of the network. And I thought it would kind of be fun to break that down. But before we get to that, just in case people aren't aware of it already, Steve or Mike, do either one of you kind of want to set the stage as to how this whole thing began 9 years ago?
Steve?
I plead the fifth. It was my fault.
Oh, no. Shut up. Okay, so just a little bit of behind the scenes before we get to the, seeds of the past lie buried in the future. I originally had an awesome thought for this entire recording. The original...
That would have been TFG and Mike's first awesome thought in 9 years.
Good night, everybody. That's Mike doing the dig dug sound on his 8-bit microphone.
It should make him better, though. He should knock some sense in him. Well, continue, Mike.
My point is, we were going to record this just before Memorial Day weekend 2018. Memorial Day weekend, my wife and I hosted the Wilson family, Pecan Court Michael, his wife, and their 2 children, because they have season passes to Six Flags Great America. My thought was, Michael and I could be live in the same room, and you guys could be on Skype, obviously, and it would have had the 4 horsemen of the GCRN all in one place, sort of, kind of. But 9 years ago, Steve.
Yeah, 9 years ago, actually almost 10, if you consider the show that started it.
Is 10 years old this year.
Yeah, 10 years old as of the 9th, I think, of August.
Yes, you and I just went over this for 20 minutes 2 days ago, so yeah.
It was a couple more days, but it still was funny. It was kind of interesting to sit there and think about it because I started that All Things Transformers, and then literally like a month later I joined Twitter and conversed with This Week in Geek and of Mike the Birdman Dodd, and met TFG1 Mike on there somehow. I was searching Transformers people, and I started following everybody that did Transformers or had it in their profile, and then communicating with everybody. And it was kind of a small, close-knit group at the time. And started conversing more, and I was running Predacon Empire at the time, which was my Transformers website that I was hosting All Things Transformers on. And he was like, I have this idea to do a podcast. And I'm like, sure. And I started editing and doing everything else. And And then I was like, you've got to learn how to do this. I don't want to do it anymore. But
and I learned how to do it, and I've been doing it ever since. I put more hours into editing than I do recording at this point.
Yeah, I do the opposite. I spend less time editing than I do recording. So it's more so I'm just like, it's going to be raw. I don't even care anymore. There's too much time spent on it. So
the point is, folks, we put our blood, sweat, tears, and time into this. Kevin will tell you later as we go through this. 9 years, thousands of episodes of podcasts, thousands of hours of content.
Which is kind of bled yet.
Well, I haven't bled yet either, but I've almost done that by beating the crap out of my PC when I've had problems. But I have broken 2 headsets, though. Even my new one that I have, I've broken this one too. Microphone still stayed with me through most of GCRN, so that's a bonus. But
I haven't broken a headset since TuneCast days, though. I think I've been through two or three of them in that first year.
You'll be breaking more as we go along next year.
I actually just figured out that my microphone that I've had since, I don't know, beginning of the first year of GCRN, that there's a headphone jack on it. Yeah, just figured that out. My wife was using my headset because I had a microphone and I had to record something simultaneously, and I was like, oh, there's a headphone jack in there. And I plugged it in. I was like, it works. It was a little tinny, but it worked. But yeah, so yeah, we started the network. We started editing. There was no website for it at the time. There was just TFG1 podcast and all things Transformers on Predacon Empire. And I wrote the RSS feeds from scratch, which was pure hell, and designed the images, which were at the time like 200 by 200 pod art.
Yeah, very archaic. It was like the caveman of podcast art.
This was when iTunes had a 500 by 500 as a minimum, and I was like, I don't really care what you have to say, iTunes. And then then they came out with you've got to have 800, and then a minimum of 300. So I bumped them up to 300, and then they were like 1,400. So I bumped them up to like whatever. I think I bumped them up to 1,400, and then they're like 3,000. I'm like, screw you.
They've been 1,400 ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done 1,400. I'm like, I'm not doing 3,000. Like, that's just absurd. But anyways, yeah, so it was a lot of learning experience, a lot of stuff going on through behind the scenes, a lot of just starting new ideas constantly. And then I think the idea actually kind of came to fruition. We actually built the site in April of 2009.
Yep.
And then I was
built
MIA
it through April and May. You were MIA for part of May, but
half of it.
Built April and May. We launched June 1st, 2009.
Yep.
Yeah, and just for the record, when we were going over these statistics and whatnot, I have chosen to include those TFG1 episodes and the ATF episodes that predated the network, just because that show kind of got incorporated into the network and continued. So they are part of the statistics. I felt like it was only fair to include those, even though they were technically somewhat of a precursor to the network. But for all intents and purposes, it would have had the same, look and feel, although a very young and inexperienced feel of the same type of stuff that we were doing then in 2009. So, it wasn't until, like you guys said, the end of May, beginning of June, where all of a sudden you get a GCRN episode, a MWire episode, a TuneCast episode, etc., to go along with the TFG1 and ATTF. But those have been included in the data. So basically, we have 4 sections that we're going to go over here today. We're going to be breaking it down a little bit by people, kind of going people by the numbers. So we're going to get into who we've had on the network and some milestone type things and some stuff like that. Then we're going to go into some data on the actual shows, multiple categories surrounding the show and some statistics through there. After that, we're going to go kind of a year-by-year look, kind of like a network through the years kind of timeline aspect as we look through. And I think that's going to be some interesting information that some of you guys might not be aware of, but we'll kind of get through that. I'm going to quiz you guys all throughout this whole podcast. I hope you guys are ready for that, to test your memory and your thoughts on some things. And then the final thing, we're just going to go over some grand numbers. That'll be the shortest section, but I have a few grand totals for a few different things that you guys are going to be able to listen to. But we're going to go to our first break here, and then we come back. We're going to break down who has made the GeekCast Radio Network's roster over the years and who's appeared in shows, whether it be a host, a co-host, a guest, and then kind of break it down by the numbers right after the break.
Hey, Tara Strong here, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. Every Friday on the GeekCast Radio Network.
This is Brian T. Stevenson, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
Behold, ToonCast Beyond. What better way to follow up the GCRN's most popular podcast than to take it beyond? If you listen to ToonCast Classic, Toon Beyond takes it to the next level. We are covering cartoons in seasons. Join TFG and Mike, Steve Megatron, and a bunch of other hosts as we cover all kinds of cartoons from 2000 to whenever now is. You can find ToonCast Beyond in iTunes and the web at www.geekcastradio.com. Tune in.
Hi, this is Sumali Montano, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
All right, so thanks for sticking with us. As I said, this first section, we're going to be going over people by the numbers. Before I get to that, Mike, you had said something in the intro that I've spent some time doing this. I guess that's an understatement, and way many more hours than it should have been, because I had this thing almost wrapped up with a bow on it, and then for those of you that don't know, I'm obsessed with Excel when it comes to data and stuff like that. And
yes, we know.
My file has like thousands of rows and hundreds of columns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just about wrapped up with it, and I was curious about something, so I sorted it with a certain criteria on there and didn't realize I didn't have the whole sheet highlighted. So it effed everything up on my whole sheet, so I had to start over. So,
I think, honestly, I think you've actually been working on this since year 2 or 3, since about 2011.
I don't think it's been that long.
I don't think it's been that long.
I think it's been since year 5.
Yeah, it's definitely been for a little while, but now I have like a master copy saved and in reserve, so anything I do can't F it up. So, learn.
That's the beautiful thing about Google Docs, though, is like if you mess it up, it'll show you the history of the document of when it was saved.
Right. And this is going to be something that's going to be easy for us to keep up with, because now I'm going to turn it over to everybody and they can update it as they wish. Yay! So back to this first section, people by the numbers. Now, it might not be super interesting for a lot of people, but I wanted to take the time, since there has been so many people that have been a part of the network in various fashions, that I wanted to try to highlight at least some of them. There's no way we could name everybody that's been on an episode. That would take way too long. But I am going to try to name a decent amount of them. So what I've separated this into is different clubs. It's kind of like baseball. You have like the 100 home run club, or the 300 or 500, stuff like that. So we're going to do something similar to that. I have about, 10 different clubs that we're going to go through here.
Kind of reminds me of SNL, the 5-timers club.
Something like that. So our first section is going to be, and we're going to go in, kind of ascending order. Is that right? Yeah, we're going to get bigger in each club. So, and up until our grand finale. So the first club is people that have appeared in at least 10 episodes. So if you've appeared in less than 10 episodes, I'm sorry, you're not going to get a mention on the podcast unless Mike or Steve just randomly throw your name in there. But we're going to kind of go through it, starting with the 10 episode club. So people that have appeared in at least 10 episodes. We have Matthew Stewart, who has just got into the club last week with his 10th episode. We have Dane Lamont.
Lamont, yeah.
Yep. And FYI, there is a slight possibility that once Mike and Steve see this file, that they're going to tell me that 2 names that I have as separate are the same person. That might be a case that could happen, because I don't have good knowledge on every single person, and some people have used different names over the years. So if that happens, I apologize. We have Hahi Prime, who's been in 12 episodes. We have Eduardo, who's been in 13. Mm-hmm. Most of those with Mike, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much all of them.
Yeah. We have the late Optimus Scourge in 13 episodes. Ados Baron in 14 episodes. Ben Carver in 15. Surprised he's not in has been in more, but I guess most of them were just Mass Mayhem. Toon Master Tim has been in 17 episodes, and Sketch has been in 23. So that's the 10-episode club. I'll give you guys a chance to respond after this next club here, because we're going to jump from 10 to people that have appeared in at least 25 episodes. So it takes a little bit more here to be in 25 episodes. You almost have to be a co-host or just a very frequent repeating guest. So 25-episode club would start with DJ Valentine with 27 episodes. We have The Proto Man, 29 episodes. Adolfo Shabadoo in 29 episodes. General Techno in 30 episodes. Optibotimus in 31. Jeremy Fine, I don't know how to pronounce his last Fine, in 32 episodes. Lupus Convoy in 35 episodes. Tara Blair, the Rising Star, in 38 episodes. Sean Dedrick in 43 episodes. And Spada in 44 episodes. Mike, any surprises amongst those two lists? People that have been 10 episodes or 25 episodes in? Or anything you'd want to say about any of those people we just talked about?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I miss recording with Spada. It was so fun recording stuff with him. Yeah, that's a lot. Steve, yes, DJ, you can stop hounding us. I've already said you can have your own show.
I was going to ask Steve if there was one person that I just listed in either the 10-episode or 25-episode club that has the biggest chance of increasing that number exponentially. Would it be?
I would say DJ.
Yeah,
but for more than one reason, not just because he wants his own show, but because he's kind of our go-to voice when we want to just have fun and have somebody that's informative to talk with.
Right. Those are going to be the two largest groups. Every group from here on is going to get a little bit smaller. There's going to be one bump where it kind of gets bigger for a second, but nobody's going to have, that was 9 people in one of those and 10 people in the other. All the rest are going to be a little bit smaller. So the next jump that we go to is people that have been in at least 50 episodes. So 50 episodes. We have Scotty Cash, 51 episodes. We have Doug Abel in 54 episodes. Dion the Music Man in 60 episodes. Art Danner, 62. Ryan the Uneven Flow in 66. I had to try to do my best TV's Mr. Neo impersonation. And Lady Wreck in 73 episodes.
Wow.
So
yeah, a lot of those people are almost core not core as in like us four, but like pretty much co-hosts, because I'll use Ryan on almost all the Transformers comic stuff now. Ryan and I are pretty much doing Mayhem Mike's. Lady Wreck is doing the other Transformers stuff with me. For the comics and things like that, but damn, that's a good list.
Definitely frequent guests and sometimes co-hosts in that group. Mm-hmm. How about people that have appeared in at least 75 episodes? So that would be Nicole Hailstorm at 86, JT from Saskatoon at 95.
Really?
And wow. And Joe Reed, 99.
Yeah, I knew Joe was going to be up there. I didn't know how close he was going to get to the 100 mark or whatever, but Joe and I have been doing the IDW TMNT comic coverage for 2 or 3, 4 years now. Right. I'm not kidding when I say this. I've said this before. I was quoted on issue 55. If you've ever loved the TMNT franchise, the IDW main ongoing comic series is a love letter to TMNT. They have done so good with that comic. It's amazing. It is just amazing. I've had a chance to talk with Tom Waltz, the writer. I've had a chance to talk with Bobby Kernow 2 or 3 different times, who is the editor on the book. And everything they do feels like, whether you're an 87 fan, whether you're an old Mirage comic fan when Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird started up, it doesn't matter. Anything they do feels like an extension of what has already come, at the same time of getting new story, new this, new that.
And the best part is I own all the covers.
Yes, you do.
There you go. The interesting thing, too, about reading some of these names off is they also represent all kinds of different time periods amongst GCRN's history. So we have some people that were more, in the early days. We have some people that are more recent. So it's kind of a good spectrum that we've gotten here. One thing that I wanted to mention from the 3 people that we just read off, JT from Saskatoon, because he has almost been there from the beginning.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's interesting. He's compiled 95 episodes without ever being a host or a co-host. That's impressive. That's a lot of guest appearances.
It is.
He's kind of like a pseudo-Canadian Terrence and
He's
Phillip
like
co-host because, Like, I use him on the Batman Beyond coverage. I've always used him on the Batman Beyond comic coverage on the pull bag. He used to do Just the Facts for us on M-Wire and that kind of thing. He was on...
He was on a lot of episodes of Telecast. Too.
Yeah. He was on a lot of the early Telecast episodes. So, yeah, JT, good people, even though he lives in the wrong country.
Absolutely. It's going to get a little bit more predictable from here on out as we enter the upper echelon, I guess, of episode numbers, because obviously these people, since they've been around for more episodes, are going to be more familiar to everybody. So the next logical step would be the 100 Club. So these are people that have been in at least 100 episodes. We start with Mr. Fridley Cent, who's been in 120, almost exclusively Cinema Geeks, but he has appeared in a few other things. We also have, no coincidence, right next to him, Hard Candy Mandy, 128 episodes. So two of my co-hosts on Cinema Geeks, they're right neck and neck with each other, battling, I guess. From there, we go to two other co-hosts from another show. That would be Chuck and Greg from Talking in Circles. Chuck has been in 139 episodes, and Greg has been in 141. All right, now it gets super predictable from here on out. I think if you guys were to compile a list of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 names left, you would probably come pretty close to getting all of them. 3 of them still here in the 100 Club. That is Mr. Birdman Dodd, who is now up to 155 episodes.
Wow.
Followed by TV's Mr. Neil at 162.
Wow.
And Michael Powers, 183. So would you guys like to comment on any of those names that we read off in the 100 Club?
Neil before Dodd.
No, Neil actually came after Dodd.
I know.
He's still the lowest of the 3.
So Dodd, then Neil, then Michael Powers.
Which is funny because Dodd's been around since TFG1.
Yeah.
Right. He's had a few hiatuses where he hasn't appeared for a while, so that's kind of hurt his numbers, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. He comes up occasionally when time allows, and then Michael Powers. Yep.
Yeah, and I guess you could say that Dodd has been a co-host on certain shows, maybe not like for the entirety of the shows. You know, he's kind of come and gone in different times.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everybody else on that list was a specific co-host for at least one, if not more, shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really getting into that territory. From there, we're going to make a huge jump all the way up to the 200 Club. So one person has been in at least 200 episodes, and that would be Mr. Michael Wilson at 205.
Yay!
Michael Wilson, 205.
He'll get more.
Oh, yeah. Sure. We still have like 40...
have plans.
Yeah, we still have like 44 episodes of Podcast Organization Without a Cool Acronym left to do. So, Michael Wilson, absolutely love that guy. My wife and I just hosted him and his family this past weekend or so, the Memorial Day weekend, where... You know, they have passes to Six Flags Great America, and Karen and I, our house is quite literally a 5-minute walk or a 2-minute drive to Great America. Nice. So, like, they stayed over for the weekend. It was awesome hanging out with them. Michael Wilson is just, you know, you put Steve and I on a mic, you put the 3 of us, Steve, myself, and Kevin. I know, but you know, sorry, Kev, the guest list was a little too short.
That's all right.
But it was one of those. It has always been one of those things with whether it's Steve and I, whether it's Steve, Kevin, and I, whether it's Steve, Kevin, Michael, and I. You put us in front of a microphone, or if you just get us in a room, like Steve said, we can sit there and talk for hours, and it means the most to us. But we basically talk about nothing. I mean, we're essentially the core 4 Seinfeld characters. You know, I don't know who wants to be Elaine, not me, but, you know, it's
I'll be Kramer.
Ugh, God. You don't have enough hair for
No,
it.
I won't. He went crazy after the show.
Yeah, he went crazy after the show, yeah. But no, like, it's so fun recording with Michael. And it's the best thing about podcasting, folks, is if you can spend 2 hours talking with somebody before you even start the episode that you're supposed to start. When we spent an hour and a half before we recorded TFG1 Podcast episode 17 because he was deathly ill. He had some sort of weird Cobra Commander death cold Starscream infected him with something, or Bombshell gave him a Cerebro shell or something, he sounded like crap.
Probably
and the
does.
biggest joke is that, you know, oh, he made me podcast when I was sick. I didn't make him do shit. I said, we can do this or we don't have to. We can push it. It doesn't. He's going, oh, no, I'll be all right. Listen to TFG 117 and hear how sick that man was. It's not my fault. I didn't do it, but I love that guy.
It's been a while since I've been able to argue Transformers with him. So.
Oh, God. Well, it's coming up soon again, so...
Moving on to the 300 episode club. Never mind, we don't have anybody that's done 300 episodes. All right, moving on to the 400 episode club. We had no one that has only done 300. One person in the 400 episode club, that would be none other than Mr. Movie Revolt Dan at 436 episodes. So started as a fan, started as someone who commented on episodes, and eventually amassed 436 episodes. So, I mean, he's been in a lot of shows. He's done a lot of things. Obviously, currently really pumping out content for Comic Concierge, as well as appearing on Cinema Geeks when we put out episodes. But Dan has been there a long time and amassed a lot of episodes, that's for sure.
Yeah, he has. The crazy thing about him is, and Steve and I noticed this, and I think you noticed this as well, Kev, all the rest of us say ugh, ee, ah. He says none of that. Like,
no, he
doesn't do it all.
In the world. He's the easiest person to edit.
We're all the ones sitting there going, what did we want to say?
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
No, I edit Cinema Geeks. Well, we all take turns, Matt, Dan, and I. And I can tell you that, and I have him on separate channels, so I just skip past everything that he does because I know I don't have to edit anything out because somehow he has trained himself, or just naturally he does not say any of those things. So he's super easy to edit. I'm actually the worst because I don't have necessarily. What I do, which is terrible for podcast editing, is I extend a word. So I'll like stall on one word as I'm thinking, which makes it impossible to edit it out. So instead of just like an or a like where you can easily just snap it out, I draw out a word, and I gotta stop doing that. But Dan is super easy to edit, and I really appreciate that. He's also probably one of the most professional and well-spoken guys I've been around as far as the internet community. So it's been a joy recording with him and just listening to some of his other stuff. Some of the stuff they did on Talking in Circles was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
So then there were only three people left to talk about.
And it's us.
Stroke our own ego too much, but we have one member of the 500 club. That would be myself at 582 episodes. I've done 82 episodes since that milestone episode. So
exactly. There you go.
Approaching 600 very shortly. Steve, you're also approaching a milestone pretty soon.
I have a feeling I know where.
You are currently, and I tried to update this just this last weekend to try to be as up to date as possible. I mean, there is a chance that something just went out that I don't have in my data, but currently I have your tally at 985 episodes. So 15 away from 1,000. So that is a huge milestone coming up. And then, Mike, I question how you pull this off, but we're gonna skip past the 1,000 episode club. We're gonna skip past the 1,250. We're gonna skip past the 1,500. We're gonna skip past the 1,750. Let's just put you in the 2,000 episode club. 2011.
Wow. Yeah, I was not sure what the number was going to be.
Shut
Shut up.
Maybe that's supposed to be the year 2011.
Jebby doesn't get a turn. Sorry.
2011 episodes.
Lord.
It's scaled down a little bit in the last year. I will say
yeah,
that. So,
yeah.
It's my turn.
Oh, shut up.
Steve may be on the pathway to try to catch you here soon. But right now you are the king at 2011 episodes, and I will never say those words in conjunction with each other again.
Yes, you will, because I'm going to play that clip over and over and over again in every single podcast I do from here on out.
Excellent.
I'm going to put the word toilet before that. So
one thing, guys, that I do, before you guys comment on any of those numbers that we've just revealed, I do want to try to put together, and you guys might be able to help me with this once I give you guys the document, etc. I would like to put a post together on the website that outlines every single person that has appeared, even if it's just their name, as a thank you to everybody that has helped contribute to the network overall. And I'm going to give the exact number at the end of the episode. So if you want to know exactly how many people we've featured on at least one episode, tune in, keep listening, because I'd like to put together a post that actually lists all of those.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So, any reactions to any of those numbers, guys, or anything that you'd like to highlight before we take a break?
I'm a little scared of Mike's number, only for the fact that I knew he was like past 1,500, but I didn't realize he was that far past it.
Yeah.
It makes me question his sanity.
I kind of figured I was over 2,000.
I wanted to do a milestone episode for you at the 2,000 mark, but
yeah.
you've had so many episodes coming out this year that you passed it way faster than I could be ready for.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's the pull bag. Okay? I cannot stop doing, we did, I have no endpoint for the pull bag. The pull bag is probably going to be the first GCRN podcast that hits the 1,000th episode mark of a pod. I have no endpoint for that show. Because there's things that I keep wanting to cover. There's things I keep coming up with on that show to cover, whether it's TMNT, whether it's Transformers, whether it's Batman, whether it's Batman Beyond, whether it's Nightwing, whether it's whatever. And the pull bag, I think, Steve, you said this off air, that there was some video I sent you, and you said you looked at the comments, and something about how someone commented, oh, you're only reviewing stuff that actually sells or something or other. I don't know, some YouTube show, I have no idea. And I don't even know. Talk to Ryan the Uneven Fool Merkley about, selling numbers for DC and Marvel. He knows some of that stuff. I don't know any I just cover what I want to cover, what I find interesting. And I gravitate more towards franchises at this point than I do superheroes. I've done a lot of independent or creator-owned reviews as well. Kyle Higgins did his Cowl series. He did his Hadrian's Wall series with Image Comics. But, if a comic speaks to me, whether it's Batman or whether it's whatever, what's more interesting to me is, in the 5 years the pull bag's been on the network, what I have never covered. I've never covered one Superman comic. I've never covered Iron Man. I've never covered Supergirl at this point. I had plans to cover Supergirl with somebody for the New 52 series that they had, but they just have never panned out. And, there was one episode that I don't think is in our actual numbers because it was on Radio Free Cybertron. If there's one thing I was crazy for, it was Comic-Con 2012. I sat here for 6 hours recording a streamed episode of Radio Free Cybertron as we were reacting live as the news broke out in San Diego for Comic-Con that year. I think it was either 2012 or 2011.
Yeah, it was 2011, and you told me, and I told you you're crazy.
The other thing here, even though Steve's only about 14 or 15 episodes away from 1,000, that he's probably going to get that in 2 weeks because of how much content he puts out these days. So it's going to be hard to do that milestone too. But all these are creeping up. Him and Dan are putting out a lot of episodes for sure lately. So
that's because I'm crazy, and I put out 2 Altered Geeks a week now. And I put out
my craziness has rubbed off on him.
Well, I try and do all things Transformers now pretty frequently as much as I can, and then Future Perfect.
Yeah.
I would have 3 of them out by now, but I've been waiting on God for them. So I think I'm just going to move on and just do them anyway. But
nice.
But yeah, it's been fun putting out multiple episodes of things.
For sure. And we want you to catch Mike anyway. So
yes,
it's never going to happen.
One quick amount of bonus info, I guess I can chalk it up to before we go to the break. I did not do this for everybody because it would have taken way too long to do. So there was no way I could do it for everybody that's appeared on one of those lists that I just read off. But just for the 4 that are past the 400 episode mark, I wanted to look at how many shows we've each appeared on. So Movie Revolt Dan has appeared in 8 different podcasts. I have appeared in 16 different podcasts. Steve, you've been on 22 different shows. And Mike, you've been on 28 different shows. So that the network.
Because I usually have 20 running at the same time.
It seems like it, that's for sure.
I didn't realize I was on that many of the shows.
Yeah, I mean, and that could consist of one episode. I've appeared on one episode of Comic Concierge. I've appeared on one episode of a couple other things, a few episodes of Pullback. But it doesn't necessarily mean a lot of episodes, but at least one on that show's run. So that's some interesting information. So a little bit closer of a gap there, Mike. You're only 6 shows ahead of Steve. So. We're going to try to come up with some new shows that Mike can't be on just to get the gap closer.
I'll just start creating episodes of different shows. There might even be ones that were canceled that just weren't included in the list.
Hey, watch it.
There we go.
I
right.
do have 2 shows.
So we're going to have to see if we can close that gap. With that said, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get more into shows. Let's look at the data as it comes to just the individual shows and some of their milestones.
Yummy.
All right, thanks for sticking with us. As I said before the break, we're going to move on to some show data. Show data. I don't ever know how to say that word. I like data because it reminds me of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
There you go.
So I have something similar that we did with people. We're going to get into some clubs, I guess. So these are going to be the most episode counts by show is the category that we're talking about. So I have 3 shows that are approaching a milestone, and then we're going to get into the actual clubs. So these 3 shows are approaching the 100 episode mark. We have, 2 shows and 1 amalgamation, I guess. First show is Pogs, which currently sits at 95 episodes. Now, before anybody says anything about any of these episode counts, let me just quickly say that I'm going off of hard data that is compiled, that includes unnumbered episodes, that includes special episodes, that includes anything that appeared on that feed. So the numbers that we may have been going off of or saying on air may not be accurate. These numbers are as accurate as I can possibly get them. So hopefully that'll stifle some of the debates on what number they're actually at. But I have Pogs right now in total at 95 episodes. I have Pixels in animation at 96. So 1 episode difference there. Pogs will be shortly overtaking that, though, because we have a lot of content coming out here.
Okay, well, to be fair to Pixels, it was only ever planned to be 100 episodes, and TV's Mr. Neil had some personal issues happen over the last couple of months, and we have not been able to.
Right.
As of this point, we were supposed to wrap up Pixels the animation by June 21st this year, and we'll wrap it up when we wrap it up. I remember, I always have to tell this story when talking about Pixels. There was somebody on iTunes that left a really nice review, but he had said at one point, I'm not sure, if you're going to be able to get to the 100th episode thing. And I keep calling the guy out almost every episode past. Like, we're this close, we're almost here.
Yeah, no, my point was that Pixels, as you said, was planned as a 100 episode podcast.
Yeah.
Pogs originally was planned as a 125 or 135 episode show, although they keep making apparently new series, so I don't know how that's going to work. But so Pogs should have a longer shelf life just in general. But right now they're 1 episode away.
Yeah.
This next one's not a show. But it might surprise you guys. And that is, and by the way, any interview that appeared as part of a show was pulled out as a separate entity,
right.
And put into a group called just interviews.
Right.
Are you guys surprised that we've done 97 interviews?
Nope.
9 years? No.
Nope.
97 interviews. I was shocked that it was that high, but 97 interviews, 3 more interviews, and we'll be at the 100 mark. I guess we can have a little celebration there. From there on, it goes into the 100 episode club, is what I'm calling it. We have 4 members, and before I list off any of them, just for the purpose of this entire section and kind of the entire GCRN history thing, I do have Tooncast Beyond listed separately, as well as a combined entity. So I have them both separately and combined, just for purposes of this. So I have the original Tooncast at 103 episodes. I have Toycast at 122, Tooncast Beyond at 123, and Talking in Circles at 140.
Awesome.
So they all start with T, and they've all had 100 episodes. So I don't know why I had to point that out, but
you did.
So Tooncast, Toycast, Tooncast Beyond, and Talking in Circles all have had 100 episodes. Now let's jump to shows that have had 150 episodes, just barely. All Things Transformers, 151. That includes version 1, 2, and 3. All right, so that's all of them combined would be 151 episodes. I thought that was only fair to combine them all. Cinema Geeks, which also includes both Weekend at the Movies and M-Wire Weekly, altogether 182 episodes. So 182 episodes of Cinema Geeks, which I think we've been selling short because currently our last one that we put out, I think we called like 171 or 172.
171 or 172,
so, yeah. There's one spotlight that we apparently didn't count, so we have to update our numbers here shortly. The flagship GeekCast Radio Network, how about this one? This is going to be the most weird one because of the numbers that we're currently calling it.
Yeah.
I will say that, again, a little bit tricky, but I had to take some creative license in how I counted these out. I counted Mayhem Mics as a separate entity.
Yeah.
So that is separate. I also counted the La La Land Lounge, I believe. That's included. Mayhem Mike's is the only one I took out. So currently, the GeekCast Radio Network has had 187 episodes.
Wow.
I know we're promoting them as in the 90s, but we've actually had 187 episodes. So here's an interesting one. Just one episode away from another milestone, but currently as a member of the 150 episode club, M-Wire currently sits at 199.
Yep.
199 episodes of M-Wire.
Episode 200 coming July 11th, 2018 will be the final episode.
9 years.
9 years to the day.
So we only have 3 shows to talk about the rest of the way, and one of them, like I said, is, I guess, maybe a cheat. We're in the 200 episode club. This is where we get the combined Tooncast. If we combine Tooncast and Tooncast Beyond, it would currently sit at 226 episodes.
Very
so
cool.
226. And obviously has a reformatting coming very shortly. We also then have Altered Geek. Currently, as of my count, and I know he puts out 2 episodes a week, so it might be off a little bit, but I currently have it sitting at 275 episodes of Altered Geek. So approaching the 300 episode club, in which we only have one member of the 300 episode club, that is the Pullbag 306.
It's so funny that Steve, that you say that, because Steve's like, I don't know how he gets his numbers, because there's only like 290 something listed on the feed.
Trust me, you'll see this spreadsheet and you'll see the dates and everything. But
I'm sure, yeah.
That means, Steve, you're only going to need a couple more months and you'll pass the Pullbag.
Not really, because Autobotley August is going to basically
but
kick
Steve gains 1 episode on you every week. So
yeah, well,
he's only 30 behind.
By the end of the year, I'll be over 350.
That's all right. So will I.
No, you won't.
In August, I'll be at 300.
There you go.
Let the race continue. So that is the amounts right now. Anything to say about any of those shows, the milestones, where you're surprised at the number of episodes any of these have?
Steve?
I'm not really surprised by any.
He gets to see all the hard data on the back end, so he shouldn't be too surprised.
No,
not too surprised.
We're
definitely the farthest off on the GeekCast Radio's numbering.
Well, yeah, obviously, because we put a lot of the interviews on there. We put a lot of specials on there at the time.
Top 100s.
Top 100s.
Spotlights.
Spotlights, things like that.
Right.
And like I said before, Mayhem Mike's, even though you counted it as a separate entity, we went back and forth about, should we do it as GeekCast Radio? Should we do it as its own thing? And even though we have the art and all of that to do it as its own thing, we figured, well, we've already got GeekCast Radio established. What if people want to hear wrestling content on GeekCast Radio? And Ryan and I and Dodd and a few others are, we're starting to branch out even more. There's a bigger plan for it in the future that includes OptimusSolo here. But Tooncast is it was meant to be a 100 episode show. I never meant to go back to it. I never meant to do, like, when I had a specific end date for it in 2011, I had it to go 2 years. Like, I was never really going to do Tooncast Beyond. I did it, obviously, but I'm like, oh, okay, and there's that whole Justice League Unlimited epilogue thing, 60 or Batman Beyond thing, 65 years in the future kind of a thing. So that's why Tooncast Beyond is named what it's named. And
right.
Like you said, it's going to be, coming back. It's going to be 10 years of Tooncast next year, and
It actually might get a chance to get up there with the big boys, the Alter Geek and the Pullbag, with episodes. I mean, I don't think it's going to reach that level, but it should be a real close third.
It probably will, because I'm pretty sure that Toon Master Tim is not going to be able to keep up, because we have we have so much planned for 10 years of Tooncast. Right. So, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I'm just kind of bouncing off that a little bit. Something else that I did, and this will get a little bit more into a little bit later, but I also broke down each of these shows, as well as all the other shows that we haven't listed, and broke down how many episodes they've aired each year by year. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but part of it that we're going to get into now is what I've called shows with the most years active. And what I mean by that is I only counted a year active if a show produced at least 10 or more episodes in that year. All right, so a show had to produce at least 10 episodes in that calendar year to be considered active in that year. All right, I know you could have said 12 because that would have been at least once a month, but I put it at 10, just a nice round number. So this is how it breaks down for shows with the most years active. We have a 5-way tie for shows that have been active for 5 years. Now, also, some of this probably does not include 2018, just for the record.
Only 6 months in, of course it wouldn't count.
Right. So some of these might be off by a year if they've already technically probably produced 10 episodes this year. But so 5 shows that have been active for 5 years. We have Pullbag.
Yep.
We have Pixels and Animation.
Mm-hmm.
We have Powers of Grayskull.
Mm-hmm.
Cinema Geeks and Altered Geek.
Wow. So
technically all 5 of those have produced at least 10 or more episodes in 5 years. Some of them will be 6 real shortly. One show that's been active for 6 years somehow, and that is Tooncast Beyond. Mm-hmm. Has managed to have 6 years where it had 10 episodes. Might only had just by the limit, but 6 years of at least 10 episodes. Then we have a 2-way tie for shows that have been active for 8 years. Mm-hmm. That would be the GeekCast Radio Network flagship and All Things Transformers. 8 years that each of those shows has produced at least 10 episodes. Then we have a cheat, Tooncast Combined. If you combine both Tooncasts, they've been active for 9 years. So, crossover a little bit because 2 of them were simultaneously broadcasting one of the years. So that's how it gets to 9 years. And the only one, I guess, by itself that has actually been active for 9 years, M-Wire.
Yep, pretty much.
So, at least 10 episodes in 9 different calendar years. Any surprises there, Mike?
No, not really.
Not really.
A lot of longevity there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the 5-way tie thing, I think, is just funny.
Right. And if you combine Tooncast, that will very shortly probably take over M-Wire since M-Wire only has 1 episode left.
Right, yeah.
But the rest are all pretty much active, except for there's a limited shelf life on both Pogs and Pixels. Yeah. But other than that, they're all active shows, so they're going to increase those numbers as well.
Yeah, because after Pogs and Pixels, like I said earlier, Toon Master Tim's not going to be able to keep up because from here on out, I don't know if I've said this on air before. I don't know if Steve has ever mentioned it when he's done. I know recently he's been talking about year 10 behind-the-scenes stuff with the website on Altered Geek, but basically, after Pixels and Pogs ends, we are not doing any more individual cartoon review shows. We are, but they're not going to be separate. They're all going to be under the Tooncast banner.
Right.
And that whole thing will be revealed at a later date. But yeah, Pogs and Pixels are going to be the final cartoon-specific review shows that are their own show outside of a flagship portion of the network.
Well, and the finish of Pauka.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's go a little bit, kind of the same, but a little bit different. And the data is going to be a tiny bit different. But now I did something that was shows with the most years from the first aired episode to the most recent aired episode. So they might not have been active every year in between that, but I'm talking about shows that have been around for the longest. So from the first time they aired an episode until the last time they've aired an episode. I'm going to run through these fairly quick. Cinema Geeks has been around, and I did not crunch the numbers to the exact week or day or whatever, so these are somewhat rounded figures. Cinema Geeks 4 years and 8 months. Pullbag 5 years and 2 months. Toycast 5 years and 6 months. Pixels 5 years and 8 months. Altered Geek 5 years and 10 months. Then we have Legends, 6 years and 3 months. Future Imperfect 6 years 5 months. Tooncast Beyond 6 years 6 months. Pogs 6 years 7 months. Tooncast combined, well, we'll save that for a second. Yeah. GCRN Wars 7 years 7 months. M-Wire 8 years 6 months. Tooncast combined 9 years. GCRN 9 years. All Things Transformers 9 years 9 months. So unless there's a lost episode that I'm missing on one of those are the amount of time that those have been around from first episode to last.
Yeah, that makes sense because we're 3 months away from the 10-year anniversary.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hold the record for the oldest show.
That's because you're the oldest show record in this show.
If I had recorded a week every episode, an episode every week of all things Transformers, I would have been at 520.
I like it. All right, I'm going to have 3 categories in a row here for you that are specific about iTunes. All right, so I have compiled some iTunes data. Just in case people were curious. So I have, the first one's going to be the most iTunes reviews. Second's going to be the most iTunes ratings. And then we're going to go down a breakdown of ratings for each show. We'll do this fairly quickly, but most iTunes reviews from bottom to top, and I only picked like the ones that had a significant number here. Tooncast Beyond has had 8 reviews. Cinema Geeks has had 9. Pogs has had 9. Pullbag has had 10 reviews. All Things Transformers 11. Altered Geek has had 12. The Flagship has had 13. Telecast has had 17. M-Wire 18. Tooncast Original 35. If you combine Tooncast, it would be 43. Mm-hmm. And From the Command Center 46.
46, yeah.
Wow.
So that is the shows with the most reviews. Mike, why does From the Command Center have so many reviews?
Power Rangers.
Because it's Power Rangers. I know you hate Power Rangers, but here's the thing, like...
It's morphin' time, man.
Shut up. Go play with your rubber ducky, Megatron.
Yes. Causing problems on the podcast, as always. You savory fool.
Is there
that's your joke.
There as far as shows that have had a lot of reviews?
I wish that there were more. No, there's no surprises, but I do wish there were more. We ask every episode. And as I mentioned earlier, and I'm not trying to harp on this, 9 years, thousands of podcasts, thousands of hours of audio content. I guarantee you, if somehow Steve had some magical piece of software that he could remove every additional clip and it was just our audio as we're talking, it would still be thousands of hours of content. And here's the thing. Yeah, we say, oh, it's free content, whatever, but it's one of those things where if you like something, if you're a silent listener, that's great. But we ask every time we record an episode, please interact with us. Send us an email, tweet at us, leave an iTunes review. If you don't use iTunes, fine, don't do that. Send us an email. But if you're using iTunes, it's not like they're charging you to, and by they I mean iTunes and Apple, not us, because we're not charging for this stuff, obviously.
Yet. No.
To be 100% fair, though, like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I have written like hardly any reviews.
Yeah,
so
and
I should be to blame as well because
right. But see, here's the thing: like I've listened to a bunch of podcasts, not recently because I produce more than I listen to at this point. But it's one of those things where when I was just listening, if I liked the show or if I didn't like the show, I would write a review saying good and bad points. I wouldn't just sit there and write, oh, you guys suck, or oh, you guys were wrong, or oh, blah, 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 blah. I would actually articulate myself and, whatever. But here's the thing about the iTunes reviews. Like, it takes less than five minutes to write something like, hey, guys, loved your show. Hey, guys, I like your show, but I disagree with this, or I disagree with that. And Steve isn't, but I am constantly checking for new iTunes reviews. Well, as Steve has already said, he hates iTunes, but
for the record,
there's reasons behind that, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like iTunes either, but it is still the standard for podcasts as far as for now, for like reviews and popularity and that type of stuff. But 2 things that I will mention. Number 1, this is only based on U.S. data. So if we have Canadian listeners, or listeners in Europe or different things like that, it's not going to be included in here. So our numbers would probably be higher because I know last time I checked, I can't remember what show it was checking. I had like an Australian, a Canadian, England, multiple reviews in all those countries. So that would bump the numbers. If you're just going on the U.S. numbers and you're just looking at these shows, which there were other shows that had less than 8 reviews, but if you're just adding up the ones I just rattled off, that's over 200 reviews. If you figure that out, I believe that's almost 2 per month across the network. Yeah. So we're still getting at least 2 reviews every month across the network on at least one of the various shows. So it's not like
absolutely
we're not getting something. So, and the other thing, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that the other thing is there's both reviews and ratings, and obviously reviews takes more time because you actually have to write a sentence or two. So the ratings are even higher than that.
Yeah.
So we have a good representation there. Go ahead and share your thought before I rattle down the
thing about the reviews on iTunes and why From the Command Center, which is our Power Rangers review series, why it has 46 is because whether you like it or not, whether you watched it or not, whatever, it's another one of those 25, it's 25 years old this year. August 28th is the 25th anniversary of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when it debuted in 1993. You know, you look at Transformers, you look at Batman, you look at anything that is older than that or whatever, and it's still the same thing. It's a legacy thing, and it's, you know, say what you will about the concept of the show. Characters like Tommy Oliver, like Jason Scott Lee, or Lee Scott, or whatever Jason's last name was in the show, like Billy Cranston, like this, like that. You know, these characters have touched people's lives over the years, and the franchise is still going. Who the heck knows what they're going to do now that Hasbro bought them?
Yeah.
Mighty Morphin Transformers?
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Oh, Lord. I would be angry at some of those. Not warranted, but I would be anyway. All right. Let's go with the ratings because it's easier for someone to leave just a simple rating. I'm going to go with the top 6 shows as far as ratings goes. We have All Things Transformers, which has had 20 ratings. We have the flagship show, which has had 24. Telecast had 26. M-Wire has 30 ratings. From the Command Center, not in first when it comes to ratings. 61 ratings for From the Command Center. And then king of the ratings would be Tooncast, the original, with 76 ratings. Or if you want to combine both Tooncast, it would be at 91. So a lot more ratings than reviews, clearly, almost double in every category. So any surprises there, Mike or Steve?
No.
Not really.
No. Like I said, just a nice word or two, whether it's if it's in iTunes, great, because I love seeing those now. Like, I remember when we first started, I was... I took some of the negative iTunes reviews
way too seriously.
Way too seriously.
Way too serious.
Now I'm like, okay, that's your opinion, you know.
I always have tried to. I don't think there's been a single review for one of my shows that I haven't read.
Oh no! See, that's the thing. Like, again, this is
we read them. We just used to be very vicious with them.
Yeah. I take it back. I don't know if I read all the Telecast ones, but I know we've read all the Cinema Geek ones and Pogs. We've read most of those.
Yeah.
So.
See, here's the thing. This goes back to my history with podcasting. You know, yes, Mike the Birdman Dodd, yes, This Week in Geek. But before I found them, I found Michael David Sims and Earth-2.net and his shows and what he was doing. And basically, either at the end of the show, at the beginning of the show, that he and James Doe were doing World's Finest Podcast, or whatever other show that I would listen to on there, either at the beginning or the end, they would have a feedback section. And they would either play voicemails that people sent in, or they would read iTunes reviews, or they would read emails. So that's where I got that from, where I'm like, okay, if you're going to sit there and write a review for us on iTunes, it's only, fair that I or we or whomever read it on air so people know that, hey, people are interacting. People are telling us what they like and what they don't like about a show, or what they wish we would focus on and focus more and focus less on. So, that's the thing about reading feedback on air. It's, basically thanking the listener for taking the time to do the feedback.
Yeah, and one thing I've always tried to stress is I don't mind if it's positive or negative. I just want the feedback. So tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. So exactly. I don't mind reading the negatives. The other thing that I did with iTunes is, the last thing I did with iTunes is we're going to have a breakdown of which shows are in which category. So we're going to start from the worst and go to the best. So we have no shows that are less than 3.5 stars. I don't know if you can get less than 3.5. I suppose you can have a 1-star rating.
Yeah,
overall.
You can have 1-star rating.
Or a half star or whatever. So our lowest show overall, this is for the life of the network. So people, even though the shows may have ended, people can still go on iTunes, still leave ratings, still leave reviews, et cetera, et cetera. So we only have 2 shows that are at a 3.5 star rating overall. Everything else is above that. The 2 shows at the 3.5 star level would be Legends of the Dark Knight and the TFG podcast. So those are our 2. Yeah, those are the two at the 3.5-star rating. Then we move up to the 4-star rating shows. We have 4 of those. We have The Secret Origins, Toycast, Tooncast, and Tooncast Beyond. So those are our 4-star rating shows. Then we have a big group in the 4.5-star rating. So let me just rattle these off real quick. We have The Pull Bag, The Beast Unleashed, TAP, Transformers Animation, and God bless it, Transformers Animated Podcast. What did we call that? Damn.
Okay. Stop it. It's Transformation Animation Podcast. Do you not get this?
It was.
Yes, that's a mouthful.
It's not really.
Showtime Synergy, Pixels in the Animation, M-Wire, Masked Mayhem somehow, GeekCast Radio Flagship Show, From the Command Center, and All Things Transformers are all at a 4.5-star rating. So that's pretty good. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shows that we've done that are at a 4.5-star rating. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows that are still holding strong with a 5-star rating. Those would be Talking in Circles, GCRN Wars, Powers of Grayskull, Pauka. I included Off the Cuff, and for a while it was on our network. Then we have Cinema Geeks, Telecast, and Altered Geek.
What I love about this is that Pauka. Yeah, what I love about that is Pauka has 5-star review, or has 5-star rating, has 0 reviews.
Well, people like it though. It hasn't had anybody rate it lower than 5.
That's true. Yeah.
Steve, any surprise there from across the spectrum from 3.5 all the way up to 5?
Yes and no. Like I've read all the comments, but I don't necessarily pay attention to the ratings, just because I don't really know that many people that actually pay attention to them. Just being serious, but I'm kind of surprised too that that Altered Geek is still at a 5. Considering I had like 1 or 2 people like go boo on me in the comments.
I think one thing though that you can see out of that, especially with the 5-star rating shows, are those are ones that we have. You can probably see like a different level of enthusiasm and dedication and time spent on some of those. Even kind of going into the 4.5-star ratings too. Like I think those are ones that we've just had a better way of ironing it out, really putting the thought into it. Because you have Alter Geek, which is your baby. Cinema Geeks and Telecast have been stuff too that I've put in a lot of time. Obviously, Dan put in a lot of time into Talking in Circles. Mike's put a lot of time in with me and Pogs. He spent a lot of time on Pauka. So, and then kind of going into the 4.5-star ratings, you wouldn't be surprised where we have something like the Pull Bag or All Things Transformers, From the Command Center, Showtime Synergy. Some of those things that we've just kind of spent more time on, I think, to really iron it out. Tooncast, I get where that's a 4-star rating because that was early on and we had to iron out a lot of different things. So it was more of a kind of up and down experience. And obviously, like TFG1 podcast was the first one ever, so Mike was very new at it. So that's not his fault necessarily that that's one of the lower rating ones. That's just a sign of something that came early on in the days. So I think it kind of is somewhat accurate of the kind of content we put out. So
and how far we've come in nearly a decade.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just have one more bonus thing here before we go to our next break. And this is not going to be complete data. This is the one section of the entire episode that is going to be going off of incomplete data because we just don't have access to all of it over the years. We've changed websites, servers, et cetera, et cetera. So to get actual information on episodes comments would be hard. So I have what I can do, and you're going to see a lot of the earlier on shows are going to pay the price because we don't have that data. But what I've tried to compile is episodes with the most comments to see kind of if we had a record from the data that we have. So does anybody want to take a guess at which episode has received the most website comments?
The top 100s. I mean, that's
the first top 100.
Yeah.
The top 9 episodes for comments are all top 100s.
Yeah.
So the number 1 episode, as of the data we can go off of, is the top 100 part 2 of the top 100 television shows from November of 2015 with 284 comments.
I think that's because everybody got pissed at the initial of where Flash played, and then we all attacked each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 284 comments back on that part 2. But interestingly, all 4 parts of the top 100 TV shows are the top 4 commented episodes of all time, based on the data that we have. So 284 comments on part 2, 238 part 1, 232 part 3, 222 Part 4. Then it goes into our top 100 animated films, is actually the next 5. Wow. We had anywhere from 144 comments up to 170 comments on the top 100 animated films countdown. So those two countdowns received the most website traffic as far as commenting goes. Interestingly enough, and I have to go back and check this episode out to see why there was this many comments, the next 4 episodes are all Cinema Geeks episodes, and one of them is episode 0 got 93 comments. I don't know why episode 0 has 93 comments, but I'll have to double check that. Episode 1, 90 comments. Episode 4, 88 comments. And episode 9, 88 comments. Then we go into the top 50 countdown that we did at 83 episodes. Then 2 more Cinema Geeks episodes. Then an M-Wire special. And that would have been episode about the films of summer of 2013 recap.
Yep.
So 80 comments on that episode. And then we have another one of the top 50, then 2 more Cinema Geeks episodes, then the first annual GeekCast Radio Awards show got 74 comments, and then a Talking in Circles episode had 72 comments. So obviously we can't go back and see some of the comments on the earlier podcast, earlier editions of maybe M-Wire, Tooncast, and the like, but I don't think there's any surprise there that Top 100 dominates the comment section.
Oh, no. That's always been our biggest commenting thing, because, yeah.
So the mark to beat is 284. 284.
Good night, everybody.
All right, so we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to do a timeline. We're going to do like a Wonder Years, year by year, flip through the years of GeekCast Radio Network.
Holy crap.
Steve's scared, folks.
Stay tuned.
This is Megatron, leader of the Predacons, and I'm going to ask you one question. Children who lives in a colony under the sea, depth charge fish pants. Who wants to kill my pitch for you and for me? Depth charge fish pants. Whose every goodness is misunderstood? Depth charge fish pants. Who sounds like Batman and Clint Eastwood? Depth charge fish pants. Depth charge fish pants. Depth charge fish pants. Depth charge fish pants. Excellent. Yes.
All right, I feel like getting the Saved by the Bell gang together and singing a song about Through the Years. Anyways, I think they did that on one of their last episodes. I could be wrong.
And all I can think of is the College Years theme song.
There we go. So one thing that I thought might be interesting is to see kind of how the network has gone year by year. And the first piece of data we're going to go with that is total episodes produced by the network each year. All right.
Wow.
So total episodes produced by the network each year, starting unofficially with 2008 with the pre-network episodes. So I guess it does count and it doesn't count. But 2008 had 12 whole episodes. So 12 episodes in 2008. Then let's start with the official episodes in 2009. First, before I do any of this stuff, does anybody have a guess as to like how many episodes we typically would average on a year basis?
On a year? 50 or more?
How much?
50 or more.
Okay.
I think that's an easy answer. I think at least 100. But I think in the middle years, I think we were cranking out some serious numbers.
That was going to be the other thing. I was going to ask you guys, do you have a guess as to which year we produced the most episodes?
2014?
I want to see 2013 or 2014, but it could be possibly 2015. I'm going to go with 2015.
All right. Let's see how it works out here. 2009. We're just getting started, guys. We're just getting started. 189 episodes in 2009. 2010, we produced over 100 more episodes. 2010, we were up to 290. So 290 podcasts came out in 2010. 2011, one of the only years that, well, maybe not one of the only years, but a rare down year, actually. I don't know what happened in 2011, but we went back down, lowest episode count outside of the 12 that we counted in 2008. 2011 went down to 180. So to review that, 2009, 10, and 11, 189, 290, then back to 180. All right. 2012, back up to 261. 2013, an all-time high for the network. Up to that point, and that would be 295 episodes. So 295 episodes in 2013. First time we broke 300 in 2014. We didn't just break 300. We broke 400. 2014, 443 podcasts.
Wow.
More than one a day. So well over more than one a day for 2014. 2015, a slight decline, actually, but still respectable. 330 podcasts in 2015. A slight bump up in 2016 by 19 episodes. So we went from 330 up to 349 in 2016. Then the first time in 3 years that we didn't break the 300 episode mark would have been last year, where we came in just too shy, 298. So to review that from 2012 on, 261, 295, 443, 330, 349, 298. Thus far in 2018, we have already produced 156 episodes through halfway. So we should break the 300 mark once again in 2018, unless something tragic happens. So, Mike, you had the right guess. 2014, 443 episodes. React to all this number data that's been thrown at you.
I know you're going to say this later, but I want to know the overall network count for everything at this point. I know you're going to say that later. Yeah, obviously.
The last part of the show, I'm going to reveal the total shows that have aired, the total episodes that have aired, and the total people that have appeared. That's going to be the last section.
Yeah, because if I've done 2011 episodes, then obviously we're over. No, I don't know what it is. Certain years I got gung-ho about doing all interviews or as many interviews as I could. I used to get gung-ho about having each new year break the last year's interviews record. I kind of stopped doing that.
Right. I think 2014 was a convergence of a lot of things, too, because I believe at that time I had full access to the internet and was single.
Yeah.
So I was producing more content, whereas in 2011 and 12, I didn't have internet for a good chunk of at least one or two of those years.
Yeah.
That's why 2011 probably was such a drop-off, back down to 180, where 2010 was... 2009 and 10, we were producing a lot of stuff. So.
Oh, yeah.
But 1 year that we produced more than there was days in the year.
There you go. Steve, thoughts?
We're going to do it again this year.
Make the goal 365.
That's my personal goal now. I got to produce more content.
So 156 times 2, that would be 312. So we got to come up with about 40 episodes.
Chicago!
I have multiple podcasts, so...
there we go.
There was weeks I was putting out 6 episodes a week, so... when we had wars and everything else.
There's a clip somewhere, and I'll have to find it. Actually, no, I was gonna put it at one of the end of the Pogs episodes, where Kevin's like, "I have 6 recordings to do this week." I'm like, "Don't try to be me. Don't do that. Seriously, what the hell's wrong with you? You can't replace me and record more than I can." No.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm hoping that we break that number again, though, and I'm hoping that with the reveal of the new site at an unspecified certain date, that we'll end up boosting comments, boosting listens,
boosting everything,
podcasts, boosting everything, because everything will be returning to the site, whereas a lot of shows are missing.
Yeah,
right.
My goal for 10 years of GCRN, Decade of Decadence, next year is in total, for the network, we produce at least 1,000 podcasts.
Jesus.
For 10 years.
We need more help.
We're gonna have to enlist some people to somehow triple our
DJ show.
Exactly, DJ's show.
Good Lord.
DJ's show would be on the hour every hour.
Yes. We have to be producing a lot of short shows. Every break would be a new show.
Okay, that's interesting. You mentioned that really quick before you move on. You mentioned that.
Oh, Lord, Mike's thinking again.
Shut up. I used to love doing the longer production shows, recording-wise and whatever else, and now I'm like, get it done, get it over with, so I can edit it and get it online. Specifically, more so with Masters in Space section of Pogs, I'm like, these need to be 20 minutes or less. Because this New Adventures of He-Man is just horrible, horrible, horrible. Whereas, Steve is now like, oh, I want to do more shows in 1 week than I normally do. And
but they're also
if we ever get to the
they are
to
short.
the point where TuneCast is producing 6 episodes a week, we'll be on our way. So.
Oh yeah, because it will be.
All right. Another thing I wanted to do kind of in this year-by-year thing, and I thought this might be the most fun part that we do here because I'm going to really kind of quiz you guys a little bit and have a little bit of data coming here. But I have a year-by-year breakdown, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at – I've already given you how many episodes each year produced, but now we're going to look at it from a show standpoint and which show or shows have produced the most episodes in each year. So this will also kind of give you a little bit of a timeline of which shows were most active and kind of as time progresses how that has changed. So – I'm going to give you the year, which shows produced the most episodes, and how many of those shows were new debuts to that year, and quiz you a little bit along the way. Starting in 2008, any guesses as to which show produced the most episodes in 2008, guys? We're starting with a softball here.
Would be probably all ATTF or TFG1.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, no, you got to pick one. All Things Transformers.
Yep.
All Things Transformers.
The only year I'm going to win.
With 9 episodes in 2008. That was the high mark. That will be the lowest mark out of all the years, obviously. So let's move on to 2009. I don't think you guys are going to get this one. Would anybody like to take a stab in the dark as to which podcast produced the most episodes on the network in 2009? I'll give you 8 guesses.
TuneCast?
Not correct.
Toycast.
Toycast is correct.
What?
Wow. Got that on the second guess. Steve's first guess. I like it. Toycast. 36 episodes in 2009. That was the highest of the network, followed by TuneCast at 32. Anybody have
It's a little easier when you remember doing the RSS feed for Mike every day and updating the front of the website.
Does anybody have a guess who came in third in 2009 behind Toycast and TuneCast?
M-Wire?
This is the first year. Not M-Wire.
Nope. GeekCast Radio.
Nope.
Telecast.
It was not a show that debuted in 2009.
Oh, TFG1.
Nope.
Nope.
ATTF.
ATTF beats TFG1 by 2.
Well, and TFG1 was only meant to be again.
Right.
I win again.
Yeah, you win. Yeah, okay, Charlie, go away now. I'm waiting. Come on now. You know you want to say it.
I have no idea what you're even saying.
Charlie, get your tiger blood in line.
Oh, God. ATTF had 30 episodes. TFG1 had 28. Then the aforementioned M-Wire at 27. Then Headshot.
At 11 or
25.
8. What?
25.
I knew there were more than that.
God, I can't believe we
And
did
then
25 headshots.
We complained a lot.
Yeah, we did. We still
And
do.
then the flagship at 7. So we had debuts that year of all of them except for ATTF and TFG. So Toycast, TuneCast, M-Wire, Headshot, and GeekCast Radio. Those were the highest. I don't include anything that's less than 5. I think if you produced less than 5 episodes, you're not included in this.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's move on to 2010. Give you guys a chance here. Who produced the most episodes in 2010?
That would have to be either M-Wire or TuneCast.
TuneCast.
It is very close. There are 3 shows that were within 3 episodes of each other, starting with M-Wire, with a grand total of 57 episodes. That's more than 1 week. 57 episodes for M-Wire, followed by dropping from first the year before down to second, Toycast, 55 episodes. Then TuneCast at 54. Mike, got a guess at what comes next? It was a debut show for that year.
Beast Unleashed.
2010.
It is.
Beast
Mike?
Unleashed. Yeah.
Yep, Steve got it. Beast Unleashed at 28.
Yeah.
Then All Things Transformers at 23, and then rounding up the back end, we had Secret Origins, the GeekCast Radio, Headshot, and Telecast, all with more than 5 episodes that year. So 3 shows making their debut that year. That would have been Beast Unleashed, Secret Origins, and Telecast in 2010 out of that group. Let's move to 2011. You guys will never get this. But remember, this is one of the lower producing years. This was when we dropped back down to 180. 2011, which show produced the most episodes? You're not going to get it.
Well, TuneCast was ending, so it couldn't be that.
Said the most episodes in
2011. Yeah, 2011.
ATTF.
Nope.
No.
I'll give you 5 more guesses.
Because I think it killed the show, and then I brought it back with V2.
Yeah.
Around then.
GCR, probably.
That's in the top 3.
Yeah. Telecast.
It is Telecast.
That's what I figured.
Telecast had 24 episodes in 2011. That'll be the lowest leader in the whole group.
So
the smallest amount. So
yeah, I need to talk about 2011 since we're on it.
Oh, geez.
That was our first top 100.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm going to talk about.
That's probably why GeekCast Radio is in the top 3 that year, because it was at third with 20.
Probably, yeah. 2011, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think it was July 28th. I'd have to go back and look at the obituary. Optimus Scourge died that year. And damn it. I could not continue Toycast with... I just couldn't.
Right. So Toycast dropped a little bit. As obviously it was first in 2009 and second in 2010. Dropped all the way down to about 7th in 2011. So the top 3, you guys... Go ahead.
It was him, Pecan Court Michael, to a lesser extent General Techno, and GD Proto Man.
Yep.
Daniel
I like
Larson.
we're politically correct of that.
It was Proto Man, Michael Wilson, Optimus Scourge, myself. That basically what we were doing was getting multiple. Like we would have different crews for different episodes, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And it was always Optimus Scourge and Proto Man with me. And after Gary died, I basically retired the show because he passed. I did not feel. I still do not feel good enough to bring that back. I could bring it back to, say, hey, this is in memory of Gary. It's been, 7 years since he passed, kind of a thing, but I'm not going to. It's just, I just didn't feel comfortable because there was a point there that he and I stopped speaking. There's a point in Toycast, if you go back and you listen to it, he's on like the first 30-something episodes of whatever it is, but like episode 0 to episode 30 or 33 or 34 at the time, and I've always said this, and I will say this until we get to a point where we stop doing this. I don't make podcasts for children. I want to curse. If I want to curse, I'm going to curse, and I'm going to label it explicit. I don't always curse. It's not me labeling a podcast explicit has nothing to do with me saying S, D, F, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, content. You listen to any of this stuff with Michael Wilson. On the Phineas and Ferb show, we came up with innuendos and don'ts because there are certain things that we'll say that have nothing to do with cursing, but is such a wrong thing to say. It's an innuendo. So that's why I use the explicit tag. It's not just because I want to say, like I said, damn, hell, whatever. Right. So at one point, one of Optimus Scourge's kids their mother let them listen to the show because he was on there, and apparently we cursed, and she didn't like it. And that basically, at the time, I'm not saying now, she and I are, we're friends on Facebook and whatever, and as far as I know, we're cool. We don't interact all that much. But whenever I bring up, I'm thinking of Gary or whatever, she obviously likes or comments or whatever. So, like, at the time, she didn't like it or whatever, and he and I just kind of fell off, and I just felt so bad about it, and we made up, like, a few months, or the end of before he died, we made up. We got back onto positive terms with each other, and once he died, I was like, oh, God. I can't continue this in good faith. It's just not right. It just isn't. No.
So there was one other show that we didn't mention. There was 4 shows that debuted that year, and one of them was in the top 3. Any guesses? 2011 top 3, along with Telecast and the GeekCast Radio flagship.
Wouldn't be Tooncast Beyond, but that was the year it debuted.
It debuted, but it was not in the top 3.
Beast Unleashed.
No. T-Sub.
Nope. It would have been Tap.
Tap. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
22 episodes. Yeah, 22 episodes there. All the rest were less than 20 episodes. So you had HETF, M-Wire, Tooncast, Toycast from the Command Center, all from 10 to 20 episodes. So that's 2011, the down year. Then 2012, we had a big year, partially due to 7 new shows debuting, which was the most that we've had since 2009. And again, we're only counting shows that aired at least 5 episodes. So 2012, 7 debuts, just like 2009. Any guesses to the leader in 2012, Mike?
I
ask you because you were the host.
It's probably Tooncast Beyond.
It is Tooncast Beyond.
Yeah.
45 episodes. 45 episodes of Tooncast Beyond, followed by the first time in the top 2, the flagship show, 39 episodes in 2012. So GCR had a boost that year, up to 39. I think that might be the most that it's ever had in one year, if I was to do the data. Followed by M-Wire at 29 episodes. 7 shows out of the 7 shows that debuted that were in there. We have Beyond the Night, Mass Mayhem, Future Imperfect. Let's see, XRG, Pogs, Altered Geek. I might have named them all. I can't remember. Let's move on to 2013. 2013, the first time we had the winner. Oh no, M-Wire had 57 episodes in 2010. This is the first time we've also had a winner above 50 episodes again. So 2013, what show had more than 50 episodes, Mike?
Well, it's probably Tooncast.
It was a show that debuted in 2013.
Well, the Pullbag.
Yes, the Pullbag.
That's
58 episodes. Followed by Off the Cuff, 31 episodes. Then GeekCast Radio Flagship still standing strong in the top 3, 26 episodes. M-Wire 25, Beyond the Night 25, Altered Geek 21, and From the Command Center and Pixels both at 20. Other shows that debuted that year would have been Wars, Cinema Geeks, and Pixels. So 2014, our first repeater, back-to-back year winner, Pullbag.
The Pullbag, yeah. The Pullbag's going to be winning a lot because it's...
Maybe not as much as you think. Pullbag in 2014 also has the record for the most episodes ever produced by one show in one calendar year. That would be 93 episodes in 2014. 93 episodes, almost 2 per week in 2014. Steve, any guess as to who was second in 2014?
2014. I'm gonna go with Tooncast Beyond.
Nope.
No.
I asked you for a reason, Steve.
Altered Geek.
Altered Geek, yeah.
Technically a tie. Altered Geek and Talking in Circles both had 50 episodes in 2014. That would have been followed by the Cinema Geeks at 28, Pixels at 26, and the GeekCast Radio Network at 23.
There was a secret to the madness of the early Altered Geek. I was trying to keep my number above Talking in Circles.
So you guys ended up tying in 2014 at least. And then we had 2 new shows that debuted that year, which would have been, let's see, which ones were those? Mass Mayhem and Pixels?
No,
not Pixels. Mass Mayhem. Oh, Talking in Circles was the other one.
Yeah.
And Talking in Circles and Mass Mayhem. All right. 2015. Mike, do you think you had 3 in a row?
I don't know. I do a lot of Pullbags, so probably.
3-time repeat champions, the trifecta, the trilogy, whatever you want to call it, the hat trick. 2015, the number 1 show was Pullbag with 60 episodes. Steve, you know who was in second?
Altered Geek.
Yes, Altered Geek at 47. You beat Talking in Circles that time by 4 episodes and beat Cinema Geeks by 1 episode. So it was Pullbag 60, Altered Geek 47, Cinema Geeks 46, Talking in Circles 43, and then Mike's Showtime Synergy at 24.
Cool.
So that's that.
Yeah, the Showtime Synergy stuff, oh, God. We were producing that in 2014 because at the time, Lady Rec was pregnant with her 3rd child. Oh, my God, the recordings for that show. The stuff that didn't make the actual episodes, and we usually put most everything in anyway.
The new ones that year would have been Showtime Synergy and Mayhem Mikes in 2015 that had at least 5 episodes or more. Mayhem Mikes barely had 5.
Yeah.
Mike, 2016, is it a 4-peat?
No.
I don't know. I don't think so, because I think I slowed down a bit then.
You are correct. The winner in 2016 would be Altered Geek.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
With 52 episodes, 1 per week in 2016. So that was the most that you had done up to that point, because you did 50 in 2014, 47, and then up to 52 in 2016. So you guys just flip-flop. Pullbag second in 2016 with 46, followed by Pauka at 44, Cinema Geeks at 41, Talking in Circles 39, Tooncast Beyond 33, and Pogs 29. So that was the most that we had at all that high as far as like the 29 mark. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shows that produced 29 episodes or more. So that was good. The only show that debuted that year that was 5 episodes or more would have been Pauka. All right. Steve, did you do back-to-back? Is 2017 your year as well?
He had to have, yeah, because
I think so.
Obviously, I cut back extremely in 2017.
2017, the winner, Altered Geek at 58 episodes. 58 episodes for Altered Geek, followed by Pull Bag. No, just kidding. Cinema Geeks, 41 episodes. Pull Bag, 40 episodes. I beat you by 1 episode last year, bastard.
Yeah.
And then Pixels at 28. No debut shows in 2017 that had 5 or more episodes.
No, there was not enough time.
First time since the inception of the network that we had a year that we did not have a debut.
Yeah.
So, and the only year because we've already had one in 2018.
Yeah.
Any guesses? I know we're only halfway through. Any guesses as to who's leading the pack in 2018, Steve?
Me.
It is. So if this continues, we will have the hat trick from the pull bag followed immediately by a hat trick from Altered Geek. So right now you are sitting, and this may not be up to date as of this last week. Right now, Steve, I have you sitting at 43 episodes for this year already.
Boom!
So you are on pace to maybe beat the pull bag's all-time record of 93. Maybe.
Not really.
I'm hoping.
Not gonna happen.
If he doubled his content, and June's not over. This is a 6 months, so we're not technically at the halfway mark.
Yeah.
So even if he doubled what he's done already, he would be at 86. That would only put him 7 behind of the pull bag at 93, and this month's not over.
I can make it happen.
So right now, this is the standings as of 2018, as of June 1 or whatever it is. Altered Geek 43, Comic Concierge at 27, Cinema Geeks 15. Mayhem Mics and Future Imperfect at 12, Pogs at 11, Pullbag 9, GeekCast Radio 9, and Remote Control 8. So that is where we're at the halfway mark. So right now it's looking like Altered Geek will pull off the hat trick. But I thought it was interesting. If you go back all the way back to 2009-10, we have Toycast and Tooncast dominating things. We have flashes of Transformers with the Beast Unleashed and Tap. The transition to Tooncast Beyond, Telecast with a brief moment, and then we kind of get into the Pullbag era, 2013 to 2015, really the strongest years, and then the Altered Geek era, right behind it, and now Comic Concierge kind of joining the group. But any reflection, Steve, as you've kind of heard these numbers and which shows have produced the most year by year?
I'm surprised the ones that have done a repeat year after year.
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised that mine got up there a couple times.
Right.
Wasn't surprised by Mike's at all. I was surprised it was the pull bag.
I wasn't, though. After the pull bag debuted, I was not surprised. Because, as I've said, I've poured almost all of my energy into that one show at this point since it debuted for the last 5 years.
Since Altered Geeks come out, I've poured all of my time into that primarily. For whatever reason, I've tried to murder and take out back all things Transformers multiple times, and it comes back.
Right.
It's like the Transformer that never dies. Like Prime. So, I mean, it's kind of surprising that podcast is doing so well, and then. As far as numbers wise, and coming into it pretty strong. The goal was to go well over. I think I hit 200 episodes like just at the beginning of the year, or thereabouts.
Right.
And the goal is to hit well over 300 by the end of the year. So
nice. Just to recap, the leader year by year: Toycast, M-Wire, Telecast, Tooncast Beyond. Pullbag, Altered Geek. All right. Also, year by year, podcasts that produced at least 20 or more episodes. 6 of them in 2009, 5 of them in 2010, 3 in 2011 and 12, like 8 in 2013, 7 in 2014, 5 in 2015, 7 in 2016, 4 in 2017, and already 2 in 2018. As far as debuts, we debuted 7 shows in 2009, 3 shows in 2010, 4 in 2011, back up to 7 in 2012, 5 in 2013, 2 in both 2014 and 2015, 1 in 2016, 0 in 2017, and already at least 1 in 2018. I don't have the official count, though, for that year yet. All right. That does it for this section. Mike, go ahead.
Shouldn't it be 2 for 2018?
I said I haven't compiled the data for 18.
Okay, because
I knew Comic Concierge.
No, yeah, Comic Concierge, but it was either... No, well, we technically did debut it last year. Podcaster Meets World.
Yeah.
Episode 0 was last year, I think.
Right, but this only consists of a podcast that had at least 5 episodes.
Oh, okay. Well,
counted, because a lot of shows haven't made it past that mark. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we got the grand finale. We got total shows, total podcast episodes, and total people. So stay tuned.
Here's something you may have missed while helping us find the pixels in the animation.
I mean, we're getting into He-Man territory here. They're not even like telling a story. They're skipping right to the moral message at the end.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. You said earlier that this is really not dark at all, and they call this the Dark Sonic. The underground city was lighter and brighter than anything that may have been dark in Robotnik's town. I can't even talk tonight. Robotropolis or whatever it's called. Because really, again... He-Man! Always He-Man! Oh my god, I can't believe you mentioned He-Man. Oh, you shouldn't have done that, because now you're really going to hate this. Sonic the Hedgehog is essentially She-Ra, Princess of Power.
What?
Not fucking kidding, dude. You got Robotnik, who rules the place in a very dark Fright Zone looking thing. You've got Sonic and his band of merry men in a place called Knothole Forest, aka the Whispering Woods. I mean, the only thing Sonic is missing is a white horse that turns into a unicorn with his magic ring.
And a little elf kid, raccoon-looking thing, hiding in the background.
That's what Tails... Oh my god, Tails is Lukey! Oh, fuck.
Oh, no. Yeah, he's barely in it anyway, so...
Oh, fuck. I just gave myself a heart attack. Holy shit.
Oh, good night, everybody.
That's right.
We got a juice, but check us out on GeekCastRadio.com and help us find the pixels in the animation.
All right, if you've listened to us this long, you apparently do not have an aversion to numbers and hearing numbers and statistics, so I applaud you all. But we are at the time where we're going to do our grand finale. That is our total shows, our total episodes, and our total people. The only number that may not be accurate is the total people. I do need Mike and Steve to look at our list of all the people to tell me if I have somebody listed under 2 different names. So that is the only number that might be actually lower than what we're about to say. But I don't think I tried my best, so I don't think it's going to go down too far. Let's start with total shows, and these are not counting the 4 shows that currently only have 1 episode. So those 4 shows were DQ'd out of the list. So outside of those 4 shows not counting, total shows that the network has produced would be 33.
Mm-hmm.
33 different podcasts that have appeared on the network. 37 if you count those shows with only 1 episode. All right. Total people to appear on the network. I don't know if you guys would have a guess or not, but I'm just going to give you the number. Total people, as of this point, to appear on the network in any one single episode, not counting interview guests. 139 people.
Wow.
So we have 139 people to thank in some way, shape, or form that have either been a guest, a co-host, a host, or a setter. We specifically named anybody that appeared in 10 or more episodes, but there's a bunch of others that appeared in 10 or less. So 139 people, and that it has been growing every week because Dan's been having some guests and different things. So what do you guys think of that number? 139 people have helped us out.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I figured it was above 100 just because we've had 9 years, and there have been people that have come and gone and guested multiple times, or people that have co-hosted or just guest hosted on particular shows. But I didn't think it was that high, but it was still. I knew it was going to be up that way.
That definitely puts the network in GeekCast Radio Network, because that is a large network of people right there.
Yeah. And the thing with me is, and I've said this before off air, on air, once I have somebody on something, I don't ever really change that. Like, I have JT for the Batman Beyond Rebirth coverage in the pull bag. I have Ryan for part of the Transformers coverage. We call ourselves Team Angel, but Amy, Nicole, and Heather and I, because I'm technically the Charlie to their Angels, we do all the other Transformers type stuff comic wise on the pull. So like Kevin has the Back to the Future stuff in the pull bag. So like I've always liked starting something and finishing something with the same person. So having multiple, especially with the top 100s, having the multiple guest hosts that we've had on those, like that's I think really what, outside of what Dan's doing with Comic Concierge, that's really what probably put that number up, is because we had so many of those.
Yeah, and like I said, we will have a post on the website at some point that is outlining all 139 of those individuals. Mike, your challenge is to make a Facebook post that tags all 139.
You'll have to get me all the names first.
Right. All right, so the moment of truth. Total podcast episodes on the network. Total episodes we've produced in the time from the inception up until this last week. That total would be 2,803. 2,803 episodes. If you figure each one of those is at least an hour, that's a lot of hours of content, folks. I didn't do the math. I didn't figure out what that would be. Let's say that we're going to say that each one's an hour and a half. How about that? So if we do that at each one at an hour and a half, that is enough content to play from beginning to end for over 175 days.
And I've only missed 792 episodes.
That's a problem, Mike. That's a problem.
No, it's really not.
So we congratulate those 790 whatever episodes from keeping Mike off of the record. No, just kidding. But
hey, I got my own episode of Cinema Geeks. I wasn't even expecting that. So hello.
That
what?
By the way, that doesn't count in the total.
Yes, it does.
No, that wasn't a real episode.
Not in continuity.
Not in continuity. So you would have to listen around the clock, 24 hours a day for 175 plus days to hear all of our content.
And by then we'd have more.
And by then, hopefully, we'll get up to the 1 year mark where you can listen to our network for an entire year nonstop around the clock.
So that's okay. So 175 days. You could listen to, if you, like he said, if you listen to...
Hold on, that is if every episode was an hour and a half.
Right, exactly, if they were, but they're not. But let's just say they all are. You could get through the entire network history in 175 days. That's pretty much almost half of a year, because 365 divided by... Well, 365 divided by 2 is 182.5. Yeah, it's less than that. So, yeah, very cool.
And if you just want to listen to them and then sleep for half the days, then you can get the whole year.
Exactly.
But if you really want to hear them talking in your ear all night, then,
Hey, if anybody would like to request a copy of the 790 episodes they can listen to without hearing Mike's voice, just contact me, OptimusSolo, on Twitter.
I'm going to knock you out.
Steve, any comments on the total episode count or anything else that we've talked about today?
I almost was going to throw out some absurd number like 5,662 or something.
We'll hit 3,000 this year.
That's awesome.
So, or we should. I mean, 200 episodes the rest of the year, guys. Can we do that?
Oh yeah,
I think so.
Network?
I mean, the pull bag alone can do that.
Well, I was thinking Altered Geek might do that. So, so we have to put out 197 episodes from here until the end of the year to hit 3,000. So maybe a celebration, Christmas celebration of some sort. So, Mike, any comments overall? This whole history network has come, the whole history lesson has come to an end. Anything you learned or anything you'd like to hear about?
No, this has just been amazing. This has just been really, really cool looking at this stuff.
Don't ask me ever to do something like this again.
I didn't ask you to do it in the first place. You did it on your own, you jackass.
I have that type of morbid mentality. I did it on
Yes,
my own.
you do. Exactly.
That's almost like Michael Wilson showing up for a record when he's sick. Who made you do it? Nobody.
Well, at least now it's all compiled up to this point, so now even if I had to do 1 year at a time, it would be much easier than trying to do 9 plus years at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus tracking down the hours of inquiring of, hey, do you happen to have this episode archived somewhere?
I had to bug Steve a lot, and Mike, because we had to figure out some phantom episodes that either didn't exist in certain areas, didn't have dates, didn't have guests, and there was a lot of. Basically, I have a spreadsheet with 140 people across the top, and then 2,800 episodes going down, and then I have a grid in which I have to log every person that appeared in every single episode. So there's lots of ones everywhere. I put a 1 next to every person for an episode they appeared in, and then I keep track at the top, totaling up each person's subtotal. So it is a madness.
That would most definitely be a shattered grid. It's one of those things where I wasn't sure what the numbers were going to be. I knew my episode numbers were high, but the fact that I've only not been on 792 out of the 2,800.
We applaud the 792.
Fuck you.
We got to go back and see if those 792 are the top rated iTunes shows. I'm just kidding.
Did you have any? Well, you said 97 interviews, right?
I have 97 interviews listed.
Okay.
Unless I missed one that just happened this year, but I think I had most of those.
That's very cool.
And according to my data, and we kind of debated this a little bit over on the milestone episode that we did on what the first interview was, because my data has that the first interview that we ever did was still the Larry Kenny episode. So I got to go back because I have Larry Kenny, then David K, then Gary Chalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Larry Kenny was the first TuneCast interview.
Right. So Larry Kenny took place on September of 2009, and then December of 2009, we got both David K and Gary Chalk. First 3 interviews, the only 3 interviews from 2009.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have all of them listed there as well in a section. So, including, I think we've done 1 so far this year.
And I just have to thank all of those people because they took the time out to let us ask them questions and everything else.
And we got one of them in trouble.
No, wait, what?
I do think about that every day because I'm like, I feel horrible because I'm like, if we ever asked him back, he'd be like, hell no.
This is the Brain, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network. Yes.
Maurice?
That's April 16th, Maurice LaMarche.
Okay, so no one can feel more horrible about that than me. I refuse to allow you, Steve, to feel more horrible about that than me.
This is the thing. This is how I discovered, because I didn't even listen to the interview. I was just, you guys were just like, yeah, we're going to talk to Maurice LaMarche. And I was like, oh, okay, have fun with that. And then I was sitting down at my computer, like, I remember sitting at my dad's house at the time, and I'm like, looking at the website, and then I'm like, what just happened? Because I'm looking at not only the download, but then I Googled something. I was looking up Arkham City.
It was Arkham City. Mr. Freeze is what
basically. It wasn't even Mr. Freeze. I looked up Arkham City, and then all of a sudden I see GeekCast Radio pop up, and I'm like, what?
You're right.
And then
well,
I read it, and I'm like, oh.
I remember this like it was yesterday, and I know Kevin's going to say something, but here's the thing, Kevin. We still do. We will do this in the future when we get more voice actors on TuneCast, but TuneCast, all tunes all the time. But whatever. We had a series of questions for the interviews. We always do. One of the questions that he put in there was, what type of voice acting do you prefer to do? Or something along the lines. You said animation, video game, and something else. And Maurice's answer was, well, the funny thing about video games is you're in a booth by yourself, talking to yourself. And then he went on to we didn't even ask him. He went on to say something about, I just finished a session as Mr. Freeze in Batman Arkham City, and I was like, oh, can you do the voice for us? Because why not ask that if you're going to offer that information? He's like, yes, no, I can't. And then me, being how gung-ho I was and kind of still am about getting interviews online almost immediately, I edited the interview and everything else at that time, posted it, and went out with my mom at the time and did something else, and I'm getting like emails and emails and emails from the management saying this, and this, and then I saw the little article that was originally posted. Then IGN picked it up, and when IGN picked it up, but like when they picked it up, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, holy crap! I actually called Jeff Danis, because Jeff Danis, I think, still is, or he might not be, but at the time Maurice was with
you
the
probably
Jeff...
got him fired.
No, I didn't get him fired. I actually called the Jeff Danis agency or whatever, DPN. I called them and I'm like, I'm sorry, we didn't know. And I tweeted at Maurice, I messaged Maurice, I'm like, I'm sorry, would you like me to go back and edit it and whatever? And he's like, well, it's out there now. But like, seriously, I thought the brain was going to come and hunt me down and take over my world or something, because you don't piss off the brain.
Well, one thing is I had no idea that was even a significant piece of information when we were doing the interview. Like, I didn't realize that happened.
I did.
That was not knowledge or, this, that, and the other. And two, I don't know why, but I actually remember exactly where I was at the same time when that was going on, because I was like running on a treadmill that I had in the basement, and all of a sudden my phone is getting blown up, and I'm trying to run and check my phone at the same time, and I think I actually had to stop, and like I don't know if we called each other or we talked to each other online or something. I was like, what is going on right now? Like, what is happening in the world? Because it was totally unexpected. We were just going about our day like normal, not thinking anything of it, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, this was a big deal.
And it's because of that one interview that I ask every time before we are off a call with anybody, is there something you want cut out? Because of that.
You don't want that press again?
Oh, well, get
the
this.
Press was awesome.
Get this, though. Okay, so get this.
How it came about was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. Like, I get a message from a good buddy of mine. He runs Saturday Morning Rewind, is Tim Nidell. Tim had done an interview with Jim Cummings recently, like the third, fourth, or he's talked to Jim Cummings like 1,000 times. I'm exaggerating, but he's talked to him multiple times, like me with Stan Bush kind of a thing. And Jim, like, the new DuckTales thing just premiered, and Jim was saying stuff about, Tim just asked a question about Darkwing Duck, had mentioned it, and Jim gave him this answer. He actually got cease and desist emails from Disney's lawyers. And he messages me and says, now I know what you went through with the Maurice LaMarche thing.
To be fair, number one, that was only the 7th interview we had ever done as a network. So we were fairly new in the game, still trying to figure things out. So I'll give us a pass on that one.
Oh, absolutely. And Maurice LaMarche, he's a wonderful guy. He like I said, I was afraid the brain was going to come destroy my world. No, he's not that kind of a guy. I do, and I have had wants and needs and plans to have him back on the network, and I'm fairly sure he would come back.
Yeah.
Because what I'd like to do, and I don't think this is going to happen, but my one wish for this year, before this year is over, I want to get him and Rob on for 25 years of Animaniacs.
Yeah. We'll see.
So, who knows?
So maybe one day that I will actually compile all the hours for every episode, but I doubt it. We'll get the actual total hours.
The funny thing is I can actually get that information from our new host. Nice. It will tell me the total episodes, and it will tell me the total hours.
There you go. Your work's done for you, Kev.
Excellent, because that would have been a pain in the butt. All right, last comments before we close this show out. Steve, anything you learned or anything you want to say before we get off the show, or anything that you want to tease, I guess, for the fans?
I'm very awestruck in the amount of detail and thankful for the hard work that you put in for this over the multiple years that we've been like, hey, what's going on with this?
Well, that's because I kept wanting to do more. I kept wanting to add other aspects of it. I'm like, no, I need time to compile this. Now I need time to compile this. And then when I lost all the information, not lost it, but effed it all up. Because basically what happened was when I sorted it wrong without highlighting everything, what it did is it effed up everybody's total counts and which episodes they appeared on. And I didn't discover it right away. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at it and I'm like, I know that person never appeared on that show. I'm like, what the hell just happened? So that's what took the longest, but continue.
But and then just thankful for all the people that guested on the shows or hosted with us or just showed up to have fun, and really excited that we've made it 9 years, that we've done as many episodes, that we're going to break the 3,000 hopefully by the end of the year, and the fact that some big things are coming to the website very soon. I'm trying to learn some new things and tweak some final things on the website, and hopefully this summer the new site will be out, and I guarantee people will enjoy this one much more than any of the other sites we've done, because it's cleaner. You can actually find crap. All the old shows will be on there. And then there's a bunch of ways to keep connected.
Nice.
So yeah, it's and all the audio players will work. So there is that, and there's like a little mini history lesson on each of the shows that's kind of being put into effect. So I think that this new version of the site will be very user friendly. Plus, there's plans to make exclusive material. A la like ad-free experience, because there's ads on the site, like on the site themselves. But so there's a possibility of some other things like that, and exclusive content that may be behind a wall of some kind.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mike, anything you'd like to say in closing thoughts?
Thank you to everybody, whether host, fan, friend, interviewer, just everybody. Thank you for being there for us. We're still going to be here. We're not going anywhere. I'm going to die with a microphone in my mouth, probably. Most likely.
Only if I shove it in there.
His tombstone's going to say, TFG and Mike, we slew him well, and there'll be a microphone picture on there. And
mic drop!
No.
Yeah. The next 3 episodes of GCR, video games with Steve, Kevin, and I, toys with Steve and I, and then episode 99 or whatever, the 9 biggest news items of the 90s with Kevin and I. So it's going to be interesting for that. Mayhem Mike's, as I said earlier, is still going strong. We're at 39 episodes. The show has evolved over the last 3 years that we've been doing it, and it's going to evolve even more this year. Like we said earlier, M-Wire, final episode 200, is coming July 11th. Kevin and I are going to be in super long rest of the year planning for 10 years of Tooncast starting June 1st of next year. The pull bag is still going strong. Just to show everybody like how different the pull bag is from every other comic podcast out there as far as what we cover. In June, I've got I Hate Fairyland Volume 3 with Movie Revolt Dan, He-Man Thundercats, the DC crossover 6-issue miniseries with A-Das Baron, the Funko Universe one-shot that IDW did, Doug Abel will be... I think that's Doug's first pullback episode. So that includes Funko versions of Ghostbusters, TMNT, X-Files, Strawberry Shortcake, and Judge Dredd. And then JT's going to take Steve's place with the Xenoscope stuff. We're going to do the 10th anniversary one-shots. And then July, we've got The Flash Season 0 with Dane Lamont, Cowl Volume 2 with Dane, Nightwing The New Order with Steve, and then Batman Beyond with JT and I. So there's a lot of changes, and there's a lot of varying things on the pull bag. I'm actually trying to plan this. This is the first time I've said this live on air. I'm trying to plan 5 different live episodes. I just did my first live. It was a 4-minute segment, but Free Comic Book Day was May 4th this year. And I went to my local comic shop here in Grace Lake, Illinois, and it was Jay's Comics, and I spoke with the owner and the guy that does the promotions for about 4.5 minutes. So episode 306 was Free Comic Book Day episode, and that was the first live broadcast I've ever done in 9 years. I have plans to do 5 other ones later this year. I'm not sure if they're going to get done or not, but those would essentially be streamed live on Spreaker.
All right, so lots of stuff to look forward to. Real quickly, guys, how can people reach out to you on Twitter? Steve?
Well, as always, they can find me at SCP21 or at Altered Geek.
Mike?
At TFG and Mike on Twitter, and God knows whatever other show handles we have.
And if for some reason, some ungodly reason, you need more data, you need more history, or you need more statistics, you got a question about something we talked about, then you can reach me at OptimusSolo, and I may or may not answer you. I promise I'll answer you. So that does it for this week. Tune in next time for another fun episode of GeekCast Radio Network, and as always, unleash the geek in you.
We shall rise again.
My pants are full.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in the stew.
I love you.
Shut up, bitch, I'm not done.
Hey everybody, it's Chuck and Stacy from VO Buzz Weekly.
And you are listening to Geek. One more.
Flawless Ensemble.